What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC 313. It is Alex Pereira going against Ankalaev. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this card from a fan perspective. And I'm really looking forward to this card from a betting perspective as well. There's a lot of solid spots sticking out for this card, and can't wait to break it all down. As always, before we get into it, if you guys could please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. All those things go a very long way. And as always, we're going to be breaking down these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you guys want a more further in-depth breakdown on my pick or why I'm picking who, the full card breakdown and prediction video was posted on Monday there. Do want to shout out the sponsor of the show, and that is Prize Picks. Right now, if you go to Prize Picks and use code DFSBTN, you will get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Whether you win your lineup or lose your lineup, you will get $50 instantly into your Prize Picks account. Check it out and use that code DFSBTN. I also talked about some Prize Picks plays I do like on my Monday show. And yeah, with all that out of the way, I say we get into it here. We're going to start with the first fight of the card. And we got the Jordan Santos going against Diaz. So we have the Jordan Santos minus 180, Diaz plus 155. So this is a fight where, from a money line standpoint, I think it's a stay away from me for a couple of reasons. I just think a lot can go wrong, laying almost minus 200 on somebody making their debut off the Contender Series. On top of that, I still feel like there's a lot of missing information on the Jordan Santos. There's not a ton of footage available of him, but this is also a guy that is very young, 27 years old. Prior to his Contender Series fight, he did take 2 years off. He's training with the Bonfim brothers, and I do think he showed up in his Contender Series fight looking like a completely different fighter, and yeah, just made a ton of improvements there. And Diaz is a guy that I'm just not high on at all. Been knocked out in all three of his losses. Kind of has that Homer Simpson approach where he takes a beating early and gets a second round finish. It happens times and time again. So for me, what I like here is violence to kick off the card. I think there's a reason they're putting this as the first fight of the night. Is it because it's the lowest level fight on the card? Yeah, but I also think they want to kick off the night with some violence here. You know, Diaz has never been to decision. He's never been over 2.5 rounds, and he's never been to a third round before as well. And you can kind of see with the way this guy fights, he's a kill-or-be-killed fighter. I think his durability is questionable, and also he's a very good finisher in his own right. So this is my first bet of the night. I have the under 2.5 rounds. 2 units at minus 130, and it's still around there. See, minus 135 now, best price for that under. I think that's solid considering Diaz has never even seen 10 minutes into a fight. So yeah, I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a car crash that Diaz initiates, and I think somebody's getting served. I think Santos does end up winning, though, by second round knockout. But yeah, I think violence here is the best way to attack this one. Moving on, we got John Castaneda going against Chris Gutierrez. Straight pick him here, and yeah, makes sense. I mean, this has split decision written all over it. I think this fight goes to decision at a very high clip, as do the odds makers. I think it's like minus 250 for the fight to go the distance, some even wider on some books. And yeah, I think it's all going to come down into the hands of the crooked, blind, corrupt judges. Are they going to favor the leg kicks of Gutierrez? Are they going to favor the boxing of Castaneda? I don't know, but I kind of lean Gutierrez, I guess. Like when I did my prediction video, he was plus 135. I didn't hate that, but now at a pick 'em, like a pick 'em makes sense to me. I don't see either guy looking like a big favorite here, so easy pass for me on this one. Moving on, we got Morono Santos going against Francis Marshall. So yeah, on this fight, this is actually my first bet of the week. I like that Marshall plus 3.5 point spread. Got it at plus 150 for 1.5 units. A lot of monies came in on that, and it is a very popular play this week, which kind of scares me away a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it makes a ton of sense here, that plus 3.5. I think this fight's a lot closer than this line does indicate. I think that Marshall has a path here in terms of getting the fight down to the ground, and as long as his chin holds up, which I think it does, he's super tough. I could see Marshall winning a round or two here. So yeah, I like Marshall, that plus 3.5. I do ultimately think it's a damage over control type fight where the judges do and should favor the damage that Santos is going to dish out here. But yeah, I would not be shocked if, one of the judges maybe give it to Marshall, because I do see Marshall getting some takedowns, some control time. So either way, I like that plus 3.5 point spread. I think Marshall at the very least wins a round and doesn't get finished. I also like the over. I like the fight goes here as well. Moving on to the next fight, we got Carlos Leal going against Alex Morono. Yeah, so I like Leal here. Obviously, he's a big favorite, and I think he does go out there and finish Morono. I like the style of Leal, and I think he's getting Morono at the right time here. Leal's a guy that's just going to march forward and try to knock you out. He's had multiple knockouts in his career. He's on a big knockout streak as well when he's winning fights, and I think that the same thing happens here. Morono, 34 years old, taking a lot of damage, hasn't looked great in his last 5-6 fights. I think Leal's getting Morono at the absolute best time here, and I think Leal goes out there and gets a redemption win. He should have won his UFC debut. I think he wins this fight, and I think he wins it violently. So the way I'm attacking this one, so they have the under at like a pick'em, and they have Leal inside the distance at -150. They have Leal to KO at like -135. So I just took the under at -105 for 1.5 units. Obviously don't get the last 2.5 minutes there, but I kind of think it's early. All of Leal's finishes do come in the first or second round. I think he maybe has one third round finish, but I do think it's early, round 1, round 2 here for Leal. So give me Leal to get the knockout, but I do like the under 2.5 rounds, again, about a pick 'em there. Next, we got Armin Petrosyan going against Bruno Ferreira. So I have beaten some line movement on this card, but this is the fight where I did get reverse CLV'd, which I should have expected, but I'm on Petrosyan here. I have 1.5 units on him at -150. I think skill for skill, the striking is not even close. I think Petrosyan's striking is phenomenal. This guy was outstriking Shara in terms of the numbers. He's absolutely outstriking guys like Christian Leroy Duncan, Gregory Rodriguez, Kyle Bahayo. Like the distance striking wasn't even close in those fights, right? But it's the chin. The chin is the worry here. Bruno Ferreira, although low volume, doesn't have great cardio, he hits like an absolute truck. And I think a Bruno Ferreira first round knockout is the best case scenario for him, which is +600. So if you like Ferreira, which a lot of people do, +600 for Ferreira by first round knockout. But once this fight gets extended, I think the volume is going to really start adding up here. I think Petrosyan is going to really start putting it on Ferreira, and I think Petrosyan gets his first UFC finish. You take a look at Petrosyan outside the UFC, this guy looks like a killer. 100% finish rate outside the UFC. Inside the UFC, more of a decisionator, but look at the guys he's facing. He's facing very tough guys. Kyle Bahayo, Christian Leroy Duncan's tough as nails. Shara Magomedov, nobody's ever knocking out Shara. It's just not happening. So it's just very tough guys, whereas Bruno Ferreira, I think his cardio is very, very questionable. Got out-carried by Abus Magomedov, which is almost impossible to do. And then I think his durability is a little bit questionable as well. So I like Petrosyan on the money line. Again, got reverse CLV'd, and which is honestly fine. Like every time I get CLV, I lose. So maybe getting reverse CLV is a good sign here. But yeah, I like Petrosyan on the money line, and then I also like Petrosyan round 2, round 3. I got Petrosyan KO2. +900 for a quarter unit, and then I have Petrosyan to win in round 3, quarter unit +1500. You can mess around with the round 3, round 2. You can add the KO if you want to, just whatever makes sense for the best price. But I got KO2 for Petrosyan, and then just the round 3 for Petrosyan. Those were the best numbers out there. Moving on, we got Joshua Van going against Ray Tsuruya. And yeah, I like Van here, but I think Van's a much better live bet. I'm almost certain he's going to lose the first round for a couple reasons. For one, he's lost every single first round in the UFC, including losing a first round to Charles Johnson, who Charles Johnson loses every first round in the UFC. So Van's a very slow starter, but when he does get going, he gets going, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. I think Tsuruya is going to take him down. I think Tsuruya is going to put him into a lot of bad spots early. Tsuruya's wrestling's not bad, but the grappling's very slick, very tricky. I think a Tsuruya first round sub, it's +1800. I kind of feel like that's his path, to be honest, because if he's not subbing Van in the first round, I kind of think he's screwed. This guy's coming in here on somewhat short notice against Joshua Van, which kind of shocked me because it's just not smart taking a fight on short notice against Joshua Van with the amount of pressure, pace, volume he puts on you. Coming in here on short notice with already on top of that having questionable cardio, I think it's a recipe for disaster. So yeah, I think Van live bet, I love, and I also like violent. I like the fight doesn't go. I think if Tsuruya is winning this fight, it will be a sub in the first round. I don't see Tsuruya winning a 15-minute decision. I just don't see it. I don't see that happening. And then I think Van's live to finish in 2-3. I think there's an astronomical difference in terms of the striking. Van's a very good striker, and Tsuruya has no striking at all. So I think Van 2-3 makes sense. I think Tsuruya sub 1 makes sense. I'm on the fight doesn't go 1.5 units at +140. And then I also sprinkled, they got the Van KO 2-3 combos. Half a unit +700 for Van KO 2-3. And, or you could just do the 2-3 separate as well. So yeah, I like 2-3 for Van. I think he finishes Tsuruya late. Moving on, we got Curtis Blaydes going against Rizvan Kuniev. Yeah, it's one of those fights where if you're looking for a parlay piece, I guess Blaydes is a parlay piece for me. I don't have any parlays this card, but he really should go out there and win this fight. There's no reason for him to lose this fight. He's fought the much better competition. He's just much better everywhere. But the problem with Blaydes is the chin. So, Yeah, I mean, I think I have PTSD from, betting Blades against Derek Lewis. But yeah, Blades should win this fight as long as that chin holds up. If you like Kuniev by knockout, I saw a plus 700. Like that's probably his path, but I really don't think that happens. I think Blades should rule here. But yeah, no bet for me. Laying chalk on Curtis Blades is not something I really want to do. Mauricio Ruffy going against King Green. Yeah, if this fight was a couple years ago, we were getting Bobby Green, like a 36-year-old, 35-year-old Bobby Green, I think there'd be a lot of value on this money line. But the fact of the matter is, Green's now 38 years old. He's taken a ton of damage. I mean, that Dober knockout was brutal. The Jalen Turner knockout was one of the most brutal knockout losses, one of the worst stoppages I think I've ever seen. And I'm not sure if Kerry Hatley's been arrested and charged for attempted murder yet, but hopefully they get that going. They get that trial going, because Kerry Hatley just took probably several years off of Bobby Green's life in that fight. And yeah, I mean, I think Ruffy, although I'm not completely sold on him in terms of the four main Fighting Nerds guys, he's probably my fourth. With that said, though, Ruffy hits like a truck. Ruffy hits very hard. And went back and watched that Yontop fight, and some of the shots he was landing against Yontop. Yontop's not great, don't get me wrong, but Yontop is extremely tough. I don't see Green eating those same shots. I think Green gets knocked out here. I think it's brutal. And yeah, I like Ruffy by knockout. So I put 1.5 units on Ruffy to win, KO 1-2 plus 150. I think he knocks him out, and I think he knocks him out within the first 2 rounds. Moving on, we got Yasmin Lucendo going against Amanda Lemos. We got Lucendo minus 140, Lemos plus 120. This is a stay away from me, I suppose. I like Lucendo here as far as a pick goes, but the line got away from me. I mean, Lucendo was minus 110 about a week ago. Now she's minus 140, almost minus 150. I'm fine with staying away, because this fight could play out close. On the feet, you got to favor Lemos, the striking in the big moments, but Lucendo does have a clear path to victory with the getting the fight down to the ground, winning minutes down there. But yeah, this fight could end up being close, could end up being a split, and not sure I want to lay minus 140 on Lucendo. So yeah, I like Lucendo as a pick, but as far as a bet, the line isn't enticing enough for me. If the line does come down and she becomes like minus 110, which I highly doubt, maybe I'll pull the trigger. But as of now, I'm fine with passing on the minus 140, minus 150. Bahamondes Turner. Bahamondes minus 120, Turner plus 100. Don't like a side here. I think this is actually probably the toughest fight on the card to call. But what I do like is violence quite a bit. I'm on the under 2.5 for 2 units at minus 130. I think somebody's getting served here. Jalen Turner can knock out pretty much anybody in the division at this point. I mean, Jalen Turner has so much power. You see him even against like Mateus Gamrot and Dan Hooker. Some of the shots he was landing on both those guys. Dropped Gamrot multiple times in that fight. I don't know how he didn't finish Dan Hooker. But yeah, this guy has a 100% finish rate, and there's a good reason for it. He's super dangerous. And then Bahamondes, I think, is very dangerous in his own right. I just think there's a lot of firepower coming on both sides. I think this is going to be an absolute war. I think both guys can absolutely knock the other guy out. Both guys also have sneaky submission games as well. And then how hittable both guys are. Bahamondes blocks punches with his face, and although he is tough, he can recover if he gets hurt. He still got hurt against John McDessie. He still got hurt against Ludovic Klein, right? So, yeah, I think Turner's absolutely live to knock out Bahamondes, and I think Bahamondes is absolutely live to knock out Turner, who's been knocked out 4 times. So I just like the under here. I like the under. I think it's a very generous price tag considering it's a Jalen Turner fight. So I'm on it for 2 units at minus 130. Next, we got Rafael Fiziev going against Justin Gaethje. Yeah, so these next 2 bets are going to be very unpopular, but maybe that's a good thing. I like Fiziev here quite a bit. If he wasn't coming in here on short notice, it would be a much bigger bet, but I'm on Fiziev 2 units at minus 150 here. I think the worst case scenario with this bet is, Justin Gaethje is the same old Justin Gaethje. He shows up, and we get a competitive fight, and it comes down to round 2. Gaethje wins round 3, Fiziev wins round 1, comes down to round 2, like the first fight. I think that's the worst case scenario for that bet, in a fight where I think Fiziev still wins. But the best case scenario is Gaethje's not the same, which I'm kind of leaning that way. I mean, Gaethje's taken so much damage throughout his career. He's now 36 years old. He has 30 fights, 30 wars. Anytime he gets in there, he's taken a lot of damage. And then he's coming off of one of the worst knockout losses you'll see against Max Holloway, where he just flatlined into the canvas, face first, just a terrible look. And I don't know, I'm just not convinced we'll see the same Gaethje. And prior to that, I didn't like how he was looking in the Holloway fight to begin with. And I think Fiziev, if he comes in here with the better game plan, which you talked about, and the game plan is don't go to war with Justin Gaethje. Fight smart, pace yourself a little bit, right? And if he comes in there with that game plan, just fighting smart, slowing it down a little bit, I think he's the better striker, especially at this stage of his career, the better minute winner especially. So whether Fiziev knocks out Gaethje and the chin's totally dust, or whether he wins a decision, I think Fiziev gets his hand raised. And like I said, worst case scenario, it's a close fight like the last fight, but not all rematches play out the same. Give me Fiziev on the money line, 2 units, -150. And then the main event, Alex Pereira, Ankalaev. Pereira -110, Ankalaev -110. I jumped on Ankalaev +100 for 1.5 units. I know I hate it. I hate Ankalaev as a fighter, but he's very skilled. He's boring. He's hard to watch, but he's very good. And quite frankly, if Alex Pereira is ever going to lose a fight, it's going to be this fight. If he ever loses a fight in the light heavyweight division, this is the fight he's going to lose. Ankalaev's the boogeyman of the division. Nobody wants to fight this guy. And quite frankly, I'm shocked they put this fight together. I personally thought that they would try to keep Ankalaev away from Alex Pereira for a very long time, until Alex Pereira was actually out of the UFC. But no, they're going to fight here, and I think he has all the tools to beat Pereira. Get the fight down to the ground. I know people are saying that Ankalaev's not a wrestler, but he absolutely can wrestle. He hasn't really needed to in a lot of his fights, but anytime he's went for the wrestling, he's looked good doing it, and he can get on top, and he can win minutes. And then even in the striking, yes, you got to favor Pereira, but Ankalaev can absolutely hang in the striking. Like, it's not one-way traffic. So, yeah, I like Ankalaev here. I just feel like he has more ways to win this fight. Could Pereira knock him out? Absolutely. But like I said, if Pereira's going to lose any fight anytime soon, and it's this fight here. So I feel like this is the last chance we may ever have to get Ankalaev as a slight dog pick'em type fight here. Although like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the guy. Very boring guy, but I think he could win here. So Ankalaev on the money line for me, 1.5 units, +100. Quick recap, like I said, got the Ankalaev money line, Fiziev money line, 2 units, -150, and then the Petrosyan money line, 1.5 units, -150. Have 3 unders, the under 2.5 in the Bahamondes Turner fight, 2 units, -130. The under 2.5 in the Diaz Santos fight, -130, 2 units. 1.5 units in the Leal Morono fight for the under 2.5 at -105. Got the Francis Marshall +3.5 points handicap, +150 for 1.5 units. Have Mauricio Ruffy wins in round 1 or round 2 KO. +150 for 1.5 units. Tsuruya Van fight doesn't go to decision, 1.5 units, +140. Got the Josh Van wins by KO in round 2 or round 3, half a unit, +700. Petrosyan KO2, quarter unit, +900. Then Petrosyan round 3, quarter unit, +1500. Those are the bets for UFC 313. Let me know what you guys are liking down in the comments. Leave me a like, subscribe to the channel, and be on the lookout for best bet on fight day. And best of luck, guys, for UFC 313. And we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.